Jim James, and I'm joined today by Alastair McDermott. Sorry, I put my teeth back in there. Alastair, welcome to the show.
Jim, it's great to chat again. And like we've chatted, you've been on my podcast. Sorry, I've been on your podcast. I don't think you've been on my podcast yet, have you? I think maybe you have. Sorry, I'm 140 episodes in, so sometimes I forget who's been on and who hasn't. But
You know how to
yeah,
make a man feel special. Yeah.
I really love chatting with Jim because you're a smart guy. You have oceans of experience, and so it's great to chat with you about business and PR and things like that. So you always have something interesting to say. So thanks for having me on your show.
Well, look, thanks for the kind words, and really, you are the recognized authority. So I always enjoy our conversations as well. And you and I are going to talk today about AI, and I'm really excited because you're a member of our Unnoticed Entrepreneur group on Facebook, but also you're someone who I followed with your podcast. You just issued a book as well about podcast guesting and podcast creation. So you're a man of many, many talents. One of the things that you also posted about, and we're going to talk today about, is using AI to sort of be a companion, really, for all of us that are content creators and business owners. Often we're working either at home alone or at work alone, or just when we want to work, our team are not around, right? And that's the other thing about working remotely now. Sometimes you want to collaborate, and the people you want to collaborate with are offline for whatever reason. So ChatGPT and the other tools like Bard and Bing and everybody else are proving to be really great sort of co-workers, really. I know there's a lot of worry about AI replacing people, but you're of the opinion, aren't you, I think, Alistair, that this is a tool set that's going to complement what we do, not replace us. So tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing, and then let's look at what you'd like to share with us and what you've been doing with AI.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. So first off, I think AI is coming, and the version that we're seeing right now is incredible and is also the worst that it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better from here. And so it's really important to understand that. And I think the other thing is a lot of people are kind of ignoring it. Like they don't want to get on the, like, oh, everybody's talking about AI. I don't want to get in that bandwagon. That's kind of like being back in 1995 or 2000 and saying, oh, this internet thing is just a fad. You know,
I remember that, people saying, I don't need a website.
yeah.
Remember that, and only send me things by fax. I mean, we're dating ourselves a little bit here, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was the same response, wasn't it? Actually,
it like the capabilities are insane, and I'm going to give you some examples in a minute of some things that I've done with it and what you can do and how you can use it. And what's really interesting is because most of these models are general purpose, you can actually use them for lots of different things. And I think that's the most interesting thing, and you can combine them in ways. And they are going to replace a whole plethora of tools that people are using right now are just going to get wiped out. So like there are negatives in the sense of there are businesses that are going to go bust because of AI. People are going to lose jobs because of AI. But other jobs are going to be made because of AI, and other businesses are going to be more effective. Business owners, like smart people who are using AI, are now able to triple, quadruple, and or even 10x their productivity. And that's what I really like about it, is that it can really act as an assistant to help you get stuff done really, really quickly and in a quality way. And the key thing for me is that there is a lot of crap that AI generates. Like
is that a technical term?
That is a technical term, but you can generate crap with AI. I know that you can, and people are seeing that and they're getting annoyed by it. And there's like, if you're on LinkedIn, you'll see people replying with AI generated comments, and I can spot those a mile away.
Yes.
I really hate them. I find them very offensive that somebody couldn't be bothered to write a real comment, but wants the benefit of having commented. So that kind of stuff. It's basically like, using it in that way, I think, is not the right way to do it, and I think is going to be bad for your brand, your personal brand overall. So I recommend not doing that. But I'll give you some examples of how you can use it, and these are all things that I've done myself in the past few weeks. So first off, I got it to suggest.
Alistair,
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I can monologue.
No, that's okay. No,
No.
no, honestly, mate, and you are a mine of information. I also just want to say that on this session, this Friday Live, we're just talking for 1 hour, right? So this show will just be until the top of the hour, until 1:30. But we're also going to talk about tools that are either free or very low cost to use. Just really want to make it absolutely clear that we're not promoting tools that cost a lot of money here. What we're really doing is, tools like ChatGPT is sort of $20 a month. Midjourney is, again, $20 a month, right? So what we're trying to do is to make what's available accessible. And so what Alastair's going to show us is some of the ways that he creates content by using ChatGPT and a couple of the other platforms that are available to you and me now, using your desktop, your laptop, or I have the ChatGPT app on my mobile phone and on my iPad as well. So the whole idea of this is to make AI accessible for all of us. And I definitely think that, like the internet, those people that don't learn how to do this will be left behind. Right, Alastair? It's not a kind of, do you want to do it or not? It's kind of not, it's not an option, I think, to learn about AI. So just wanted to say this is about accessible AI and teaching you how to use it. So back to you, Alastair.
Yeah, and thanks for interrupting, because I can monologue and I could probably do 3 hours if we needed to. But let's keep it to an hour.
Yeah, no, we've got an hour and we're recording this and we'll make this all available as well afterwards.
Yeah. So I just want to run down, because I put together a list recently of some things that I've done, just so I can tell people about them, to give them examples of real world. And so what I have not done is, I have not given it a prompt and said, write a LinkedIn post for me. I have not given it a prompt and said, write an email for me. Although it's pretty good at those things, it's not great, and it certainly doesn't do it in my voice. I haven't used it for those types of things. What I have done is, I've given it a book description, I've given it a chapter of a book, and I've said, please suggest 15 amazing titles for this book. And it's given me 15 title suggestions. I've said, I'm going to be running a live stream with Jim about this topic. Please give us some title suggestions for that. Please write a promotional event description for this so we can put it into the online tools. And it's really good at doing something like that. I also, and I don't have it to hand, but I drew on a piece of paper, I drew a basic website. And then I wrote on that piece of paper, I want you to generate the HTML and CSS for this web page. And I uploaded a photo straight into ChatGPT, and it created the HTML. I didn't give it any other instructions. I just hand wrote in the instructions on the piece of paper, and it created that web page. It's insane,
It is, I think. But let's, as you and I discussed the other day, there's sort of these amazing capabilities, but there's also this huge learning curve. So I think, I've done a few presentations now to groups, and there's kind of a bit of a wow moment for everybody. But let's start with the very basics. For example, if someone's creating an event, and like we did the brainstorming, let's just show people with a screen share using ChatGPT how to do prompting and the interface. Because you're absolutely right, using it for HTML, I saw now I can do Python coding with it, which is incredible. Most of us as entrepreneurs, we need to either create content, we need to create a blog post, we need to, maybe if we're creating courses, for example, create course outlines. So let's on today's session keep it as accessible and kind of takeaway possible as we can. So Alastair, show us first of all the interface for ChatGPT and or Bard or Bing, because you use all of these different tools.
Absolutely. So I'm going to do a screen share here, and let me know once you can see my screen here. Is that appearing okay?
Yep, that's great.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the basic interface to ChatGPT. Now, because I am paying $20 a month, I get these two options up here, ChatGPT 3.5 and then 4. 3.5 is faster and gives you faster output, but it's what they use for the free model, but it's not great in terms of its logic and reasoning, and the output isn't as high quality. ChatGPT 4 is where all the interesting things are at. And it also has some features down here that you can turn on and off. So for example, the default doesn't have access to the internet, but when you turn on Browse with Bing, and then you ask it about a web page and you give a web address, it can read that web page and process based on that. There are some stuff that I'm playing around with advanced data analysis, and I don't really want to get into that today because it's a little bit more advanced. I just had that one turned on because I was just playing around with that recently. And then we have plugins, which are third-party plugins that allow it to do more different kind of functionality. For example, there's a plugin that allows you to chat with a PDF. So you can upload a PDF somewhere that it can read it, and then you can ask it to give you data about what's in that PDF. You can ask it questions about that. And then the one that has most recently come available to me is DALL-E 3, which is going to kill Midjourney.
Oh, wow. That's just come in, huh? That's going to be able to make images.
It's able to make images. And I'm going to show you some of this. So let me show you some of the things that you can do here. And I'm just going to go. So first of all, I just turned it to default mode here. And you can see here that it gives me this little image option here. Now, I'm going to show you the one that I did previously. And this is the one where I literally drew on a sheet of paper this terrible drawing. And as people can see...
That's not so bad. I mean... I'm not quite sure what the MVP. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote up here in my terrible handwriting, because I've been using computers now for 25 years. I haven't handwritten anything in 25 years. So I wrote up here, I want you to give me HTML and CSS for this web page. And then I drew this web page, and I wrote here, this is this. Actually, I wrote this is UVP, but MVP is fine. Either of those works for this context. I wrote home, about, and contact, and even when I wrote contact, I was running out of space. It was really messy, and then I created the feature boxes and this. So like this is now we could have uploaded a beautiful wireframe that we created in something else and got it to do something really detailed. But this was me just testing the basic functionality. I just took a snapshot of this with my phone at my desk, and I uploaded it. And
just show us though, because you're ahead of me. How do you upload a picture to ChatGPT? Because I thought before ChatGPT was text only. So how did you upload a picture?
Because they added this functionality here where you can click on this attach image. Ooh. And if you click on that, up pops the box for you to upload your image.
So that's another new, I mean, that's the other thing about ChatGPT, there's your logo. Right? It's moving, wow, it's moving very quickly, isn't it?
So let me just say, what is this? Okay. So I that's processing down below. But meanwhile, here's the code that it gave me. Here's the HTML code for this page that it just created. Okay, and I took that code and copy pasted it in, and I'll copy it again here. I'm just going to open up a new window here. So here I have my new 285.html. So let me go open that.
Okay, Alan, this is great, but I think you are verging into the realms of the expert quite quickly here. I've already got pictures of the Matrix running through my mind. Oh, as you can tell, Alastair is well ahead of.
There is our webpage. Now, look, this webpage is not beautiful. It's not amazing, but what it is actually what I gave it here, right?
Yeah, that's incredible, right?
I drew that, and it created this. Yeah. Now, if you put a lot more effort into the original, then it will give you something better. I just wanted to show you, like, that's a web page that was created. You know, these are links. It has the right wording. You know, it got everything on this page correct based on what I gave it, and that is the part that I think is just incredible. So and the only thing I did was I drew this on a piece of paper and I uploaded the photo. I didn't give it any other instructions. The only instruction is this handwriting here. So that's the first part. The other part is the image recognition thing, which I gave it this and I said, what is this? And I uploaded your logo. It appears to be a logo, graphic design with the text, the Unnoticed Entrepreneur. And it design emphasize the unnoticed part of. So So
wow, that's very interesting. Very. I mean,
it's able to recognize. Now, this was a simple image. You can upload something much more complex than this. But that's just some basic stuff.
And also, I'm quite chuffed that it's actually recognized that my brand, is saying that the un is for the being unnoticed, and also suggests a modern and bold branding approach. Well,
there you go.
I'll take that. As I drew that myself, I'll take that. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Just goes to show, with armed with Canva, um, we can do anything. So,
that's
Alistair,
that's image to text, and that's image to web page. So, do you want me to show you more, or do you want to pause and ask questions?
well, I think we've got the opportunity for anyone that's watching to ask questions as well. If anyone has any questions, Alistair, I think you can see them probably.
We do, and we have a question that has come up here from Dan, and he
Okay,
asked me
great.
where did I place the code. Okay, so what I did with this was I just took the code that it gave me and I put it into a text editor. Now this text editor is text editor I use. It's just like Notepad. This one is called Notepad++. It's one that programmers tend to use, which is why we have the kind of funky green and black. But it's just a text editor, and so I pasted it in here, and then I saved it with a .html file extension. And then once I had that done, I could just open it. Once you have a .html file extension, it's like if you double click a Word doc, it opens up in Microsoft Word. When
Yeah.
you double click a HTML document, it opens up in a browser window. And that's why it opened up here like this for me. So this was just testing. Again, if I was actually doing this in real life and I wanted to create a real web page with this, I would probably follow a different process. But I think that it's pretty crazy that it
Yeah, it
can
just
just do
shows.
this.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I think, and Dan, hey, you're joining us from I think DC today, so thank you for the
awesome.
question. And I think that also that's the sort of thing you could presumably cut and paste, Alistair, into WordPress, for example,
Oh yeah,
for a
absolutely.
theme.
So what you could do, and I would, if I was doing that, and I have done that many times, but what I would do is I would tell it not to give me some of the extra stuff. It gave me some extra stuff to create the whole page, but if I was creating something just to put on my own already existing website, I would tell it just to give me this part down here, which is the kind of the meat of it, rather than all the structure around it. So that's a really basic one. I want to show you one other cool one here because I marked some of these so I knew.
Okay.
Right, so this was, so first of all, this was the first time I used DALL-E 3, was last night, because it just became available for me. So I asked it,
Okay.
what can I do with it? And it gave me some suggestions, illustrations, concept art, custom graphics, all of this kind of stuff
And,
here.
and just to be clear, if anyone wants to use AI currently to make graphics, they can use tools like Midjourney, for example. The challenge with Midjourney is that you have to then go into the Discord group,
Yeah.
and then you go into a browser to
It's
see the
it's tricky
graphics.
to use Midjourney. I'm gonna
Yeah,
just open it up here
it's amazing
and show you why.
quality, but it's a little bit complicated. So, or you can use, like in Canva, they have um, a text to graphics, and a few others like Neuroflash are doing this now. For example, out of Germany, those chaps have built a really brilliant tool. Um, but DALI, I think, a little bit like the OpenAI, is kind of the original engine, isn't it, Alistair? And
Yeah,
all these others are using the APIs, the application
yeah. I don't know if
protocol
Midjourney
interfaces.
is separate. I'm just gonna bring up Midjourney
Yeah.
here, right? This is Midjourney, and so in order to use Midjourney, you have to use this tool called Discord, which is a bit like Slack. But what you'll see is and lots of other people are using it at the same time, and all of their stuff comes up. But you'll see this person has put in this prompt,
Yeah,
and
that's just a bot. That's one of the Mid-Journey bots that creates this
yeah,
kind of cascade of content, doesn't it?
this person here, so Devalin Tossel 9, I don't know who that is. That's a user. They've written this prompt. Give me a toned man with black hair standing in a gothic mansion wearing and blah blah blah, and they give all of this detail, defined lips, blue eyes, semi-realistic, cartoonish details, and then they give some other modifiers on the end, and you'll see a lots of these, and you can see what other people are doing, and this actually is an interesting thing to learn from. You can see what other people are actually doing on Midjourney, and so here's another one.
But Alistair, just pulling you back there just a
Yeah.
second. Let's get back to ChatGPT, because I think part of the sort of purpose of today is to give people a flavor of what's possible when they're starting out. Because you're an expert, of experts, you're an expert, right? So if can we just come back to the
Yeah. So
ChatGPT,
so
because
let me just connect
Discord
this,
is
Jim.
yeah,
So in Midjourney, you have to type out this prompt and you have to
yeah,
give it tons of details.
that's right.
And
I tried it. Yes.
the big difference is over in ChatGPT, here's what I said. I said, I want you to create an image for me. It's Square episode artwork for a podcast episode about using AI tools. Give me some interesting options. And this is what it gave me. Now,
Wow.
I
Oh,
didn't have,
and the writing is correct because with Midjourney, the text is always all over the show. So that's
yes,
very interesting that it's actually got the text correct.
it's getting much better at text. It's not perfect. It is
Wow.
getting much better. And so these are pretty cool. Like these,
Yeah,
and I really like this one. You'll see me use that in a minute. Here's another interesting one. Like these
these are
are
very
these
cool.
these are like they are cool. Now, Midjourney will create stuff that's just as good. It's just harder to use.
And you've got, so this already did the aspect ratio for you and so on as
So
well,
it
presumably.
made it square because I asked it to make it
Yeah,
square
yeah,
here.
that's right. But you could do aspect. So again, if there are any questions from anyone watching on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, type them into the chat. We're using Restream today. Alistair's introduced me to Restream, which I have to confess I'd never used before. So thanks to Alistair. You can see Alistair's an expert on so many of these aspects. Why I've invited him to come over and give us a tour. So yeah, any questions, do fire them in. So Alistair, you're creating images and it's that quick, and then you put it in
Yeah.
16 by 9, right?
So I
So
said I
that's,
like number 2. Can you give me that in 16 by 9? So
wow.
16 by 9 is just the ratio. So
Yeah,
it basically it's I wanted it in wider format. And can you change the text? Now here's the killer, right? Because we had
yeah,
decided
that's right.
that
Yeah,
this was the name of the session, and if you look here, you'll see it's actually spelled it wrong. Okay, so and this isn't really an M here. It's kind of like
yeah.
brainstorming, and then it says using Chat IP, and this is Eonated. I don't know what that is. So it really finds it difficult to get text right.
But then
And
you just create that image without the text, right?
yeah, so
And then you
I
can,
said that's good, but the text isn't right. Can you fix it? It had a go. You see, it regenerated the image again, so it's giving me another version of the image. And I said it's still not right. Can you fix it again? And then I gave up on that, and I actually used the original. But
so
you
here's
could,
here's a test for you, Alistair. Can you ask it to try the first image but without the text? Because I found, like
yeah,
with Midjourney, I've created something and I love that picture. I don't want it to change the picture. I just want it to change like the text. So can you get it to
yeah. So I'll
or
see. Can
not?
I get it to get to So I'll see. Can you give me the first 16 to 9 image you made me, but with no text?
Let's see.
And so what it's going to do here is it's really difficult for this because it generates stuff from scratch each time. It's really difficult for it to give you the same thing back again, but with
That's
minor
right.
changes made.
So
In
so
text, it
yeah,
is, but let's see what it gives me here. So it's going to try now to do that.
I think from a workflow point of view, it's worth just considering if you use DAL, if you use the image creator, to specify no text, so
So
that
here we go.
you get,
Let's see what this is like. I'm going to open this one up, and it's opened it up here. So there is that one, and I'm just going to scroll up to the previous. So where's the first one with the text? So that's the first one with the text. So let's see how it did in terms of comparisons. So you can see that it's changed. You can see that it's changed the various implements and
yeah, but the overall
things.
layout of sort of brain and then
Yeah, I mean
tool sets are,
it's pretty similar, but not identical. It finds it very difficult to do things to replicate what it's done
yeah,
already.
because it originates each time, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
Alistair, if you know, one of the things that you create and I create are courses, right, for people. Can you just show us, if you were, let's say, a course creator, could you, as a little bit of a exercise, could we show how you could use ChatGPT to, if you like, create an outline for a course?
Sure.
And then
Okay.
also how you might get it to create images, which could be used, for example, for each section. Let's say it's a 3-part course on using AI, for example. Let's give it a bit of a task so people can see how they could actually create.
Right. Now, so first off, I want to just address one point that people may not understand. That AI is pulling from all of the knowledge that it was trained on. And so that means that it's quite knowledgeable about things that people have written a lot about. but it's not knowledgeable about things that people have not written about. And so it's not actually very knowledgeable about AI itself. Kind of funny enough, but that's because we haven't written a whole lot. Like, there's mountains of data out there about all sorts of other topics, but not so much about AI. So it isn't actually great at generating stuff about AI. So I'm gonna pick something slightly different. Let's can we pick something like email marketing or
Or podcasting? Because you and I both do podcasting.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. So,
and right. I'm building a course which is about helping guests to be pro guests, like to be professional guests, how to be better before the show, how to be better during the show, and how to use the show afterwards. So why don't let's use that as a framework, can we?
Right. So we're going to create a course on how to be a better guest and be more effective. Okay. So I'm gonna start this again. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT, and now I'm going to go to a new chat. So this is a new chat. I'm going to turn on the DALL-E 3 because I do want to have access to the image generation at some point, but I don't need it right now.
And just, sorry to interrupt, Alastair, again, to just interrupt, but for people that aren't familiar with ChatGPT, can you see on the left-hand side, you can see all these sort of dialogue boxes with data cleaning. There's a list, and each one of those is a separate chat that Alastair has had within ChatGPT. That is important because ChatGPT remembers the content of that string. So if, for example, you wanted to do mindfulness trainer style guide, you would want to go back into that string to do the next piece of work. So you kind of create almost work folders or streams of thought. So you don't just keep creating new chats, right, Alastair? You go back and kind of go back into a stream that you had already.
Do. Now, as you can see, I tend to use a lot of different chats.
Okay, all right.
So
that's a different approach.
What happens? So one place that it's weak at finding your old chats, right? It's not great at doing search. It doesn't have a search feature that you can use within the web-based access, but you can do a search in the like the iPhone app. So it can be hard to find stuff, but what happens is it automatically names the chats for you. So that does help a lot. Now I'm going to pick, let's pick the mindfulness trainer style guide. I'll just show you very briefly. What I asked it here is I said, create a minimal visual identity style guide for a mindfulness trainer who uses this brand. And I just asked it to create a style guide, and I gave it some simple information because I wanted to do a basic style guide for somebody, and I just wanted it to get this where it had the color palette and it has some examples to say, hey, this is something like what we could do for you. And so it's automatically generated. Now, one of the key things here is this is all garbage in, garbage out. So what I mean by that is you need to learn and experiment in how to give these prompts, and it's very much a learning curve. And also, the more that you know about something, the better result that you can get out of it. And this is where I think it's really useful for experts, because I knew how to say what I wanted here, because I know what a visual style guide for an identity has. I know the things that are important in there. And so you could start out with a simpler prompt. Like I gave that a fairly advanced prompt here, but you could start out with a simple prompt and then build on that. But the more that you know about a topic, the better you'll be able to prompt on that topic. So does that make sense?
Yep. No, exactly. Just letting people know in the group that we're live. Yep.
Awesome. And hello, Paul, and thanks, Dan. So I don't think we see all of the chats coming from all groups, but I know that Dan and Paul, and we have some other viewers here on LinkedIn as well. So you're all very welcome. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just show you this other prompt. By the way, I said create a realistic photo from history of an accountant in a modern office using an abacus instead of a computer. And this prompt is not great, but I just wanted to throw something together very quickly. And so it created these images of an accountant, a potential accountant in an office using an abacus. And so that was the one I picked. I just picked this. I wanted a quick image to put up on a LinkedIn post that I was posting. And so
Yeah.
you can see how simple my prompt here is. So simple compared to doing that same thing on Midjourney
Yeah, no,
would
exactly.
have
And
been
also
difficult.
because, and the other thing is here now that you can create both the text and the graphic in the same application,
Yeah,
right? Because the workflow with Midjourney was taking so long actually to log into Discord, choose the upres, get it
yeah.
into my browser, download, so um, this is pretty incredible
Yeah,
that you can do this.
it's amazing.
Okay.
So so this is again you can keep it that simple. It doesn't have to be like the mindfulness one where I showed you a more advanced prompt. You can just start with something simple like
Yep.
this. Now we talked about doing a. By the way, you'll notice it doesn't save if you don't actually type anything in. It just goes away. It didn't save the new chat that I started before. So I'm going to start it again. I've DALL-E 3 started. So now let's go ahead with our training course. So we're going to do a training course, and can you give me some details about this, Jim?
Okay,
This
yes. So it's called the Podcast Pro Guest course. Okay, is the name. And it is a course to help entrepreneurs and subject matter experts to feel more confident about going onto podcasts. But most importantly, it's to help them to make the most out of the podcast appearance by making sure that they look good on camera, that they sound good on the mic, and that they know how to use the content from the podcast to repurpose, so they can make blog posts, they can make video shorts, they can make LinkedIn posts, so they can really maximize the appearance on a podcast.
Okay, now pause a second. So I was
I'm done.
typing in. I was typing in desperately there as you're speaking.
Sorry.
So I didn't get everything that you talked about there. But
Okay. Well, that's
if
how
I
to
was
make the most of their appearance on the
if I was
podcast.
to do this
That's it.
myself,
Yeah.
what I would do is I would actually record what you just said and I would transcribe it, and I would do
Man,
that very very quickly.
you are rock and roll. Well, I tell you what I do, Alastair. I skip a step at the risk of being a smarty pants. I use the button on my keyboard, this one
Yes.
here, because on an Apple keyboard, there is a little microphone. If you press that, it does dictation.
Okay. Very
So
good.
I just dictate to my computer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Aha.
pretty much how I will do it too. So okay. So I want to go back and just tidy up this prompt.
Yep.
So I'm creating an online course called the Podcast Pro Guest. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And the aim is to help business owners feel more confident guesting on podcasts, make the most of going on podcasts, look good in camera, sound good, and learn how to make the most out of the content
Yep.
that is created.
Okay. Hey, Val, good to have you. Val's with us now as well. And hey,
Awesome.
Paul. So this is coming through on the Facebook. That's great. We're sort of learning here, Alistair. Okay. I'm playing for
Right.
time. There you go.
So now we now have given it some context about what we're doing. And so now we have to give it a task. So what would you like it to do first?
I'd like it to create the course outline.
Okay. So I'm going to say I want you to act like an expert online course creator and create a high level outline of this course. Is there anything that's important or that we should add?
I think let's just say there are 3 stages. There's the before, during, and after the recording.
Stages we'll address in the content
And I think what you can see
before the podcast interview,
Alistair,
during,
I'm just going to
and
talk over you for
after.
a second.
Go ahead.
So one of the things you can see about the prompts here, and this is an observation that someone made when I gave a seminar about using AIs, just how detailed your prompt needs to be. The more specific you can be about your prompt, the better the results. And this is where I think a lot of people get a little bit lost with the AI, with the chat. They put in sort of too much sort of general open-ended content.
Yeah.
And what you see from Alistair and and me here is that we're giving it specific instructions, just as you would an individual. If you were training a member of staff, for example, or giving a subcontractor or a supplier or customers or kids instructions, you need to be as specific as you can.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell it to go. So it has, first off, it has created a subtitle, Mastering the Art of Being an Outstanding Podcast Guest. Now it's working away. Now, even though I asked it to give a high-level outline, it's actually giving quite a detailed outline here. So before the podcast interview, okay, this is something that ChatGPT will always do is it'll always add context and sometimes what I would consider to be filler at the start of content. So this is stuff that I will usually remove myself. I don't like a lot of fluff or filler in the stuff that I create personally, and so I would remove some of the extra introduction that it includes. So let's see, Module 1, identify the right podcasts. So it's giving you what Module 1 might look like. Module 2, your technical requirements, microphone, headphones, camera, setting up your environment, crafting your message. Module 3, branding, dressing for the camera. Make sure you always wear the same color and brand of t-shirt like I do on camera.
Well, joking apart, that can be part of your brand. Like I have the hat
yes.
on, right? And
yeah. So so you can see like it's given us this section before the interview, so section 1 before the interview, or part 1 maybe, and then the 3 modules in there, and then part 2 is during, and then some stuff on this. Maybe going into a little bit too much here. I don't know if managing audio levels is something that guests need to worry about. Typically that's usually the responsibility of the host, but things like camera positioning, maintaining eye contact, yeah, that's good. And then promoting your business, sharing stories and experiences, that's a really great point. So I like the output that it's given me here.
Yep.
And then after the interview, so what it's given us here looks pretty cool. I like that. So now we have potentially the outline of this course. Now here's the thing for me about this: the data that it has built this course on is the sum of all of the knowledge that it has been trained on. And it is giving me the mediocre average output from that. And it's pretty damn good. But as an expert in this area, you may have things that you want to remove or want to add. And that's where I think it's really crucial. This is a crappy first draft. I was going to use a different word, but popularized by a book written a long time ago. Yeah. But I'm going to say this is a crappy first draft. And this is like, in terms of crappy, it's actually pretty damn good.
Well,
you can take this and
crappy,
then build on this. You know?
But it gives you the framework, doesn't it, Alastair? And I think that for many people that are not quick at typing, for example, or if you want to prototype an event, I see your Quillbot.
It keeps moving on me.
That's the little green robot on the right hand side. That's also Quillbot.com is another sort of AI writer assistant. Does quite good summaries, for example.
I mostly use it for its grammar correction, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. So,
but
but you've got enough there, haven't you, to get a sense of the layout and the kind of. And what I also like about it is that it's quite consistent in its structuring. So you've got 3 bullet points per module for you. And I'm guilty, and most of us are guilty of knowing a subject matter in lumps, right? So we know a lot about one part and not as much about another. Yeah. And so it means that the structure of the course in this case would be much more consistent across all the modules, whereas sometimes there's a tendency to do more about one module or another. So now we're going to do a sales page outline. Great.
Yeah, let's get it to do some interesting stuff here. So write me a sales page outline for this. And again, I've given it something really simple here. I didn't tell it to act like an expert copywriter, so maybe I should. So it's working away now, and it's creating the sales page. So it's giving us this, and so it's giving us this as a sales page. Now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say the course is from Jim James of the Unnoticed, and I should have capitalized that.
Here you go.
The Unnoticed Entrepreneur.
It's really a test of your typing skills, Alistair, today.
Much better than my handwriting.
Yeah, no, you do. That's right. Now you're playing the.
Now give me a HTML version of that sales page.
Oh, interesting. So then you could put that into a style sheet somewhere.
Yeah. So now this is real basic, but it will still give you, like, it's giving you something that will work. Like, you could test using this, you know?
Yeah.
You can create this web page and then test using this. And the next thing I'm going to do is create.
Well, Alistair, I was gonna just jump in and interrupt you there because I saw it said it recommended a graphic higher up.
Yes.
I don't know whether this is what you were going to do next. And
that's exactly what I was doing. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because I created a course and I created the graphics in Midjourney.
Right.
But in between, and so it'd be quite interesting to see if it creates module level graphics.
Right.
That would be very interesting.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say create a cover image for this course. I don't know. Let me test it out because I actually haven't done that. So I'm gonna get one cover for it and see what it comes up with
Just a
first.
quick question: How does it know to use DALL-E? I know you put DALL-E before. So did you have to use the keyword image, for example, for it?
Yes. Yeah, because I said create an image.
Yeah. So there has to be, if you like, that's your prompt.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't know that, I mean, with Midjourney, you have to put in, / prompt imagine, right? And then write out a string of text. So it still has to know that that's what you're looking for it to do.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Oh, nice.
So you can see, again, problems with text. This one here is correct. So, I mean, you can just replace that text, but like that's pretty mad.
You could.
Like, I think these things are just so cool. I don't really like that one, but this is like that image, like that's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd crop out the text.
Yeah, I would if I was doing that, I would just pull the background color and just overlay it. But this text will get better.
But I think also the speed. I mean, we've been doing this for 5 or 6 minutes, and we've created the beginnings. Now, Alistair, here's a question for you, because I was reflecting on how AI is great, but it thinks much more quickly than humans do, arguably in terms of content creation, right? It's in danger of creating a lot of stress, isn't it? Because you've created an outline, but actually an outline is not a course. You've then got to create the script for each module. So do you want to just tell us how you would go about that? Because otherwise you end up with like all these modules. Yeah. And someone's saying, well, that's great, but how do I possibly now actually build? And we're talking about a course, but obviously this could be a blog post. It could be an article. It could be any form of content. Do you want to address that issue?
Yeah. So I'm going to grab this right now. I could just grab this part here and ask it about this, but I'm actually going to grab this whole thing because I like to give it as much context as possible when I'm asking questions. So I'm going to say I want you to act like an expert course creator and create a detailed. So this time I'm asking for a detailed module outline for the following.
Could we say a detailed module script? Would it work? Would it understand if you asked it for a script?
Yep, a detailed script.
Because obviously if you're creating a course, or it could be a lecture, for example, for school, it could be an internal sales presentation around a new product launch, for example. You could then have ChatGPT create this content for you.
Now, I want to just mention something that I found that helps sometimes. I like to separate the instructions from the input text with like
That's a great
a
tip.
bunch of symbols, something like that. It just helps the AI to understand what the separation is.
Mm.
You don't always need to have it, but what happens is it just makes it really clear for it. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's really
ask it that
good.
now. I'm gonna add an instruction. Please include instructions in square brackets for what should appear on screen during the video. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to just say that it's a video script, okay? And then I want to say the video should be, let's say, 3 to 6 minutes long,
Okay. So
okay?
again, you can see for those people watching that haven't used ChatGPT or any of these, it's the same with Jarvis, right, or PepperType, or AI Writer. There are quite a lot of these tools, and in fact, Kajabi now has a course creator with AI powered, and I saw that
Right?
this is
I'm
nice
not
and easy.
crazy about what it's doing here. It's gone a little bit overboard. Maybe not. Okay, so there's certain words that ChatGPT tends to use all the time. It loves to dive into things and delve into things. You'll see that appear all the time. I like it not to use that. But this is pretty good. So welcome to Module 6, where we'll delve into the art of promoting your business without coming across as overly salesy. One of the primary reasons audience tune into podcasts for genuine, authentic content. So how can you promote your business without turning them off? And so we come down here, talk about sharing stories. Instead of pushing your service, you're sharing experiences, right? So this content is right. Maybe it needs to dive into this a bit more,
Yeah.
and show clips of various entrepreneurs sharing their journey. Again, this is where it starts to hit the mediocre for me. Like I would not use this directly. I
Well,
would,
and I think the other thing then also, Alistair, is that this is where humans are going to be needed
yeah,
because
yeah.
critical judgment is, how do you share an image of an entrepreneur, sharing openly, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
I
concept, so
well,
it's
I could say, I don't know what this would be. Can you give me
and also again,
specific
and anyone
examples?
who is watching that's got questions that you'd like to ask Alistair while we're
Yeah,
generating that, do dive in and send them. I think, Alistair, as you're the host, you can see any questions as well. We've got about
yeah,
another 10 to 12 minutes left.
cool.
There's Dan's got a question. Could you ask it to produce suggested readings for each module?
For the entire course outline that we created above,
Great, Dan. Thanks for the question.
please suggest. Please give me suggested readings for each module.
Now, quick
Okay.
question for you there, Alistair, while it's making this. Is ChatGPT now accessing the internet in real time or only up to 2021?
Only up to 2021. And now here's the other thing.
Because otherwise, all the books that you're recommending or podcasts or other reading will be out of date.
Yes. And the other thing about this is these books may not actually exist.
Yes, we heard that about some legal cases as well, right? Where
So
things.
this is something you need to be wary of, particularly when you're asking for sources. So ChatGPT is brilliant at giving you a plausible sounding answer. It will give you the best plausible sounding answer for the question that you ask. The problem with that is it will just make stuff up and it won't give you sources because it's not able to give you sources for that. So I'm going to see, do these books actually exist? And this is something that I do. I check the work when stuff is important, and usually it is when you're just publishing it. So Lisa Barnes, this book
Yeah.
does exist. So that's good.
2007. Wow, that was going back a few years.
Yeah. So this book does look like it exists. Maybe that's a different authors. So I would check all of these things.
And I think it's a really great point about, again, the need for human interaction, right? That what you could do is ask for the ISBN number, I suppose. But this idea that we can outsource everything to AI is not correct. And I think this is one of the reasons why we need to be critical about AI, is that it's going to augment what we do, but we can't abdicate responsibility for what it does. We can't let it represent who we are or what we're thinking. We can only let it support us on some of the rote work, right?
Yeah.
So
Now, I did test it out here just to see, because I have not yet published a book called Recognized Authority. I may publish a book called Recognized, actually. That's what I'm tending to write. But it's saying, okay, we don't know about it. Now, I have seen in the past where it will just make something up. So I'm just going to try it again, because sometimes when you try, you get different answers each time.
and I think
Okay,
that's
so
that,
it's
yeah.
giving me the same. It's giving me the same back. It's saying as of the cutoff. So, and by the way, what you'll notice is when you give it the same identical input, it will give you different output each time. So in this one here, it says as of my last training cutoff. In this one here, it said I'm sorry, but as of. So it each time it recreates an answer for you. It doesn't do the same thing over and over again. In fact, it's very bad at doing the same thing over and over again. But this is pretty good. It actually said that it doesn't know about that. Now Dan asked, and would it be more up to date with Bard? And I'll just pull up here. If we go to bard.google.com, we will see that we have the same kind of input over here. So and so what I can do is I can take the original prompt. I'm going to
Okay, and
go.
Alistair, I just remind you, we've got about 7 minutes left. 7
Okay,
minutes left.
cool. Yeah. I'm just gonna give this to Bard, and I'm also gonna give it to Bing, and just show people, that these tools, these are all from the other providers.
Yeah.
So Bing is from Microsoft, Bard is from Google, and so I've just given it the course outline one in the same way, and you can see Bard has created something, and it's created some different options here. It's done the same thing of creating a course outline, and Bing is creating one as well. Typically, ChatGPT is creating the best outputs at the moment.
Is that what you found? Is that it's the
I think so, yeah.
because the Microsoft runs on OpenAI, doesn't it? Because they invested
It does.
in
It's
OpenAI, so
interesting
using
that,
their
yeah. And there's another one that I use called Claude, again, which is the same thing. The only difference is you can put a lot more information into Claude. You can put 75,000 words, whereas I think with ChatGPT, the limit at the moment is around 8,000 words. And so when you can put 75,000 words in, you can say, hey, here's the draft of my current book. Please act like an editor and go through it and, look for look for mistakes, or is there any sections that are missing. So that's where that gets really interesting. The last thing that I want to do here in terms of the demo, I just want to go back to brainstorming and the concept of brainstorming. So I'm going to say, give me the names of 5 business podcasting experts.
Let's hope you and I come up. What if we don't come up? But I think we've.
So
maybe
I don't think that I'm
cutoff.
going to come up with this for sure,
Yeah,
right?
and I think I cut off to
Yeah.
we're not like Pat.
So
We're
now
not
I'm going to
like
say all of so I'm going to say we're at a conference where all of those experts are on a panel, and they are doing teardowns.
Okay.
So this is like constructive criticism of online courses. Write the heated debate that they have over our online course.
Now this is nice. So this is like
as outlined.
having sort of experts take a position.
Yeah.
to
Now
analyze
this
that.
is all hypothetical, and it's based
Yeah.
on, but it's interesting. So so we'll see. What this does is, like, I would never actually use this directly, but what it does is this now says, okay, so Pat Flynn's perspective on this might be
Yep.
something about this, and so So it starts, it just gives us some perspectives on all of these things. And I really like this as a brainstorming tool.
Yeah, that's great. Also, it means you can really look at what you might want to lean into in the content when you're explaining it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed I left Dan's question up. I just want to address this other question Dan asked. Can you get more up to date info with the plugin? You can get more up to date information. The issue is when you've got chat with Bing turned on in ChatGPT, it's not that it's got the information in its database now. It needs to go out, and it's really slow about going out and doing a search within Bing, getting the results back, reading the page, and it's very slow. It can be good for finding out stuff, but like I typically have that turned off most of the time just because of how slow it is. But if you really need to know something that's more up to date, personally, I would just go Google it myself and then use that input. And I'm sure that these will get better at that. But yeah, it is something that technically it does do, but I find it doesn't do it very well. So I hope that answers that question. In terms of brainstorming, asking for ideas, those are some things. ChatGPT is really bad at maths, and so
Well, that makes two of us. Yeah.
so I gave
I
it a
was hoping
list.
I could get it to do my maths for me, but
I gave it a list of some stuff, and so it's trying to do the work. So it actually hides the work. I'm not going to show you, but it says it looks like there was an error in this, and then it says it looks like I forgot to do something. Let me try again. It seems like
Alistair,
there's a technical issue. It's not good at doing maths, and
okay.
that's just something these systems aren't great at. But
Alistair,
what they are great at is in generating this kind of text output.
okay, the one thing you haven't shown people, which is lovely because we've got a couple of minutes left, is with that course outline, just show people how they can take the content out and put it into a Word document, for example, because you haven't
Yeah.
shown us how you export anything.
Oh yeah. So when you're looking at your output from ChatGPT, typically there's this little bullet, little clipboard
there.
icon,
Yeah.
and you can just click on that, and that has now copied the text from this output, and I can go in here to Google Docs, say, and start up a new doc, and then I can just paste, and so you can paste, and there you go. There's the outline, and then you can start formatting it.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's wonderful.
that's actually the text of the sales page, actually, the sales page outline. But it's the same thing. You can go in here and just click on this, and it'll get you going with that.
Alistair, that's brilliant. So we've got, and then if you wanted to then download the images. So in the
Yeah.
last couple of minutes we've got, what would be your advice to anyone who's thinking about ChatGPT and AI for, let's say, content creation and ideation? What would be your advice?
I think you have to dive in. I think you have to start playing around with it, getting comfortable with it, trying it out for something simple, try it out for some day-to-day tasks, and start to figure out where it's weak, where it's strong. It's not great at certain things, like I showed you. It's not great at maths. It's not great at text on images. It's not great at, there's certain things that you'll find out, like it makes stuff up sometimes if it doesn't have an answer for it. And those are really irritating, and you've got to properly fact check when you output stuff from it. So never take something blindly from it, copy paste it, and post it online as if you'd written it yourself. It's just a bad idea. But what it is really good at doing is creating that first rough draft, because now, like, if you and I were to sit down and look at that course outline, we might rip to shreds and actually come up with something much better. But we're starting, rather than looking at a blank slate, at a blank page, we're starting off from a point where we have all of this stuff in front of us. And that's the most powerful thing. So get comfortable. Like, AI is here to stay. And it's important. So, start learning how to use it. I post all the time about what I do with it, and I've got videos on where I've experimented with it like this. Go watch some of those, play around with it more yourself, and read about it.
And Alistair, where can people find you, Alastair McDermott?
I am most active on LinkedIn. So if you search my name, I'm connected with Jim on LinkedIn. Alastair McDermott is my name. And my brand and my podcast is called The Recognized Authority.
and you've proven that you are absolutely the authority. Thanks, Alastair, for joining me on the Unnoticed Entrepreneur live show today. Really deep dive tech. We covered a huge amount. So thanks for sharing all your wisdom with me. And obviously we'll put this on YouTube and we'll share links to it and in our Unnoticed Entrepreneur Facebook group, where Alastair and I are both there as well to help anyone that's got any questions. So Alastair, I think you are driving Restream today. So with that, we'll just say thank you to everyone that's been watching today, and do join us next Friday. We will have another Unnoticed Entrepreneur live session with another subject matter expert. So tune in and we will keep you updated. And we can just say, until we meet again, keep on communicating.
Thanks, guys.